So we continue from page 118 of the Tempest Act 5 Scene 1, which is the last act and the last scene of the play. We have just 2.5 pages to go, and with that we will be finishing with the text of the play. So let us see now what conversation is in progress in page 118. So all of you please look at your textbooks, and also you can see the text on the screen. So let me now scroll to page 118, and let us now begin from the place where we had stopped in our previous class or previous video. So here on your screen you can see that Alonso was commenting, "This is a strange thing as ever I looked on," pointing to Caliban. And Prospero goes on to say, "He is as disproportioned in his manners as in his shape. Go, Sida, to my cell, take with you your companions, as you look to have my pardon, trim it handsomely." Meaning to say that he is as disproportioned. You can see the meaning, that is ugly. He is as ugly in his manners as he is in his way of behaving. And then he says to Caliban, "Hey, you fellow Caliban, go inside my cell. Take with you your companions." Meaning to say, you take Stefano and Trinculo along. And all three of you, since you expect that I should forgive you, since you are looking for my pardon, go and arrange my cell in a proper way. Make it neat and tidy. Trim it handsomely. Means make it neat and tidy and make it beautiful. Arrange the things inside my hut or inside my cottage or inside my cell in such a way that it looks proper. Go inside and arrange the things that are inside. Caliban says, "That I will, and I'll be wiser hereafter and seek for grace." Yes, I will definitely do that, sir, and from now on I will be wiser. It was really foolish of me to have planned to take your life. Now I'll be wiser, and I will always look for your goodwill by doing things according to your instructions. So I will do it. What a thrice double ass was I to take this drunkard for a god. I was really 3 times double a donkey or an ass to have considered this drunkard, meaning Stefano, to have considered him a god. It was a mistake on my part. I was really, really foolish. In other words, what he means to say is that thrice double ass means I was really, really very foolish to have thought of Stefano as a god and worship this dull fool. And I was also very, very stupid in having worshipped this dull fool. Refers to Trinculo. So it was my mistake. Now Caliban, as we can see, is able to realize that he has been really very stupid in having considered Stefano his god and in having also worshipped Trinculo, whom he refers to as the dull fool. So saying this, Caliban is about to move inside Prospero's cell with Stefano and Trinculo, and Prospero says, "Go to, away, now get going, hurry up, move." And we come to the next page, that is page 119 on your screen. As you can see, page number 119. Alonso says, "Hence, and bestow your luggage where you found it." To whom is Alonso speaking? Of course, he is speaking to his men. Who are his men? Stefano and Trinculo. So he is telling them, move now, go inside as you have been told, and make sure whatever things you have stolen, whatever luggage, whatever clothes, whatever apparel you have picked up, put them back in their right place. The king is ordering Stefano and Trinculo to return the clothes they have stolen from the clothes line outside Prospero's cell, which do not belong to them. So go and put the luggage, meaning to say the clothes that you have stolen, in their right places. Sebastian adds, by saying, or stole it rather. So, not found it. It should be a better word to describe their action is that they have stolen it. They have not found those clothes, and therefore they have not taken those clothes. They have actually stolen those garments. Those clothes have been stolen by them, not just found by them, but also stolen by them. So Sebastian points it out. So now, exeunt Caliban, Stephano, and Trinculo. Where are they going? They are going inside Prospero's cell. What are they supposed to be doing there? They are supposed to return the clothes they have stolen and have worn to their right places, and they are also supposed to help Caliban to arrange everything inside Prospero's cell in a very neat and tidy manner so that the cell looks beautiful. Now, Prospero speaks. He says, "Sir, I invite your highness and your train to my poor cell." Train means the people who are with you, that is your followers or your attendants. So I invite you, your royal highness, the king of Naples, and all those who are with you to come inside my poor cell, where you shall take your rest for this one night. And inside my cell, I will make arrangements for all of you to have a proper rest tonight, because it's already dark. We know that everything started somewhere in the middle of the day. The storm, the tempest was created by Prospero with the help of Ariel, and then the so-called shipwreck, which never really happened but was believed to have happened, also took place. After that, we know how these people have been brought onto this island, and now it is towards the end of the day. It is growing dark. It's evening time, and so Prospero is requesting all of them to come inside his cell. He is forgiving everyone, and as we know that forgiveness and freedom are the keynotes of the Tempest, and the chief protagonist of the play, Prospero, is finally showing his forgiving nature, and he has already forgiven everyone, and he is now inviting them with due respect, as a king should be respected by another king or duke. In the same manner, we see Prospero inviting with due respect, "Your Honor, King of Naples, kindly come inside my poor dwelling, my cell, and there you and your companions, you can all spend the night, take rest for the night, and tomorrow," meaning the next day, "we can once again begin our journey. The ship has been brought back, the mariners have been brought back, the boatswain, the captain, all are here. So now there is no problem. We have come to the falling action of the play, and there are a few doubts and queries and questions in the mind of Alonso and the others. These doubts and queries will be eventually explained away, sorted out by Prospero, and so all the missing links of the jigsaw puzzle will be put into place, but Prospero will first invite them with due respect inside his cell. So he says, "Please come inside for this one night, which part of it I'll waste with such discourse as I no doubt shall make it go quick away, and part of that resting period which you have inside my cell during the night when you are with me in my cell, part of the night I will be sitting with you all, and I'll be telling you about all that has happened so far. So part of your resting period will be my discourse. That is, I will be giving you my explanation, or I will be describing in what way all these things actually happened. And that's the manner in which I will make the night shorter, because whatever I say will be so interesting that you will not even realize when the night will get over. So it will be done in such a way that I have no doubt that the night will go away quickly. The story of my life and the particular accidents gone by. I will be telling you about the story of my life and the particular accidents, events or incidents that have actually happened ever since I came to this isle or island. And in the morn, I'll bring you to your ship, and so to Naples. And in the morning, I will take you all to your royal vessel or your ship. And from there, we will begin our journey by your ship back to Naples, where I have hoped to see the nuptial of these, our dear beloved, solemnized. And after we reach Naples, I have this hope that the marriage of our beloved son and daughter will be solemnized. So, tomorrow morning, tonight you will spend in my cell. The night will be spent by you and your companions inside my cell. During the course of your stay inside my cell, during the night, I will be telling you the story of my life, all the events that have happened in my life so far, so that the night will go away quickly, because you will be listening with interest to my story, because my story will be so fantastic, so extraordinary, so interesting that you will not realize when the night has got over or when the night has become so short. And then you may have some sleep, a little bit of sleep, and then next morning, tomorrow morning, when you are fresh, when you rise from sleep, I will take you all to the royal ship which is waiting for us, and we will climb on board and we will begin our journey back to Naples. And in Naples, I have this hope that we shall see the marriage of Ferdinand and Miranda, whom we both love, to be solemnized. So the nuptial refers to marriage. And thence retire me to my Milan, where every third thought shall be my grave. And after the marriage of my daughter and your son is solemnized in Naples, of course Miranda will be left in Naples. I will alone return to Milan. After the marriage gets over, I'll go back to my dukedom, go back to my Milan, where much of my future shall be spent in meditation on death. So he says, where every third thought. So he says that I shall retire to Milan, where part of my thoughts will be occupied with death to come. So I'll be waiting for my death after I reach Milan. So third thought will be death. Now here the question arises, why the third thought should be about his death? He is old, his days are numbered, he will soon be gone, he'll be dying, he knows that, Prospero. And that's why he says every third thought will be about my death. I'll be meditating about my death. But what will be his first thought? His first thought, obviously, will be his daughter Miranda. He will be missing her because she will be married to Ferdinand and will be living in Naples as Queen of Naples, because eventually Ferdinand will become King of Naples. And the second thought, of course, will be his own dukedom, his subjects, his people. So Milan as such will be in his second thought. And the third thought will be about the number of days of his life that are left, and that he will not be living forever but will be dying after some time. So he will think about these things when he is back to Milan. Alonso says, I long to hear the story of your life, which must take the ear strangely. I am really eager. Long means I am really eager to listen to the story of your life. Ever since you left Milan, in these last 12 years, whatever has happened in your life, I am really eager to know the story of that life of yours. I am sure that your story will affect my ears with amazement. I'll be really amazed to hear whatever you say. I'll be captivated. I'll be really amazed. I'll be really wonderstruck or captivated by your story. Prospero says, I'll deliver all and promise you calm seas, auspicious gales, and sails so expeditious that shall catch your royal fleet far off. I will deliver all. That means I will tell you everything. Don't worry, I'm going to tell you everything about my life so far. And I will also promise you at this point of time that you will enjoy the calm seas. When we begin our journey tomorrow morning, our vessel, your royal vessel, your ship will be enjoying a very calm and peaceful weather, so that the sea does not cause any trouble to your ship anymore. And I will also promise you auspicious gales. What are auspicious gales? Gales are winds. Now, in those days, wind assistance was of most importance, was of great importance, because the sails of a ship had to receive enough wind so that the ship could move forward. So he says that I promise you strong, sufficiently strong winds so that your ship moves fast and the sea will be calm, so that the movement of the ship will not at all be a problem, and the sailing will be so expeditious, meaning to say so efficient, that very soon your ship will catch up with the rest of your royal fleet. Remember that when the rest of the ships in the royal fleet, they thought they saw that the royal vessel of the king has been destroyed by the tempest. They tried to look for survivors but could not find anyone, and then sadly they began their journey back to Naples with the sad news, with the bad news, which they were planning to convey to the people of Naples when they reached. But those ships are still yet to reach Naples, and so Prospero says, don't worry, very soon we will catch up with the rest of the ships which belong to the same fleet in which your royal vessel was traveling. So you will catch up with the remaining ships very soon, because I promise you calm seas and I promise you auspicious winds. Aside to Ariel. And when he says this, when he makes this promise, he speaks aside to Ariel, because this whole thing is possible only if Ariel helps Prospero. So Prospero says to Ariel, my Ariel, chick. See, Prospero is referring to him as chick. So this is a word of endearment, you could say. Prospero refers to Ariel with different endearing terms throughout the play, as we have seen, and this makes Ariel very happy. So when he pets him and when he shows his affection towards him, Ariel is enormously happy, and Prospero knows that if he refers to him in such terms, Ariel will do anything that he orders him. So he says to Ariel, my Ariel, chick, that is thy charge, that is your responsibility. It is Ariel's duty to ensure that the ship has a smooth voyage. So there should be calm seas. By means of magic, Ariel will make sure that there are no natural storms occurring anywhere, and that a portion of the sea which is being covered by the ship the next morning should always be calm and peaceful, and that there should be sufficiently strong winds in the sails of the ship, so that the ship can move fast and in the right direction to catch up with the rest of the ships. So that is your responsibility, dear chick, my Ariel. Then to the elements, be free. And once you have done your job of having united this royal vessel with the rest of the ships of the fleet, you are free to go. Ariel, I declare hereby that this is your last assignment or task which I assign to you. Once you are able to complete this successfully, after that, just be free to the air. Free to the air, free to the sunlight, free to the water, just be free to the elements. Thereafter, you will no longer be under my supervision, you will be a free spirit once you have completed this last assignment. Please you draw near. So I request you all, please come closer. So he says this, and then all the characters, as you can see, it's mentioned towards the end of this page, exeunt. So all the characters on the stage, that is Alonso and his royal party, and Prospero, and of course Stefano, Trinculo and Caliban have already gone inside his cell. So these all characters now leave the stage, they all go inside the cell. So with that, the actual story of the play comes to an end. But then comes something which is not very common in Shakespeare's plays, in other plays of Shakespeare. For example, you have read The Merchant of Venice, you haven't seen this happen. There is this epilogue, And what is the epilogue? The epilogue is actually a conclusion. And as I told you, that The Tempest is the last completed play of Shakespeare, which has a little over 2000 lines. And with this play, Shakespeare drops hints through the character of Prospero that he is officially declaring his retirement from show business, and that he wishes to go back to his home town or home village, Stratford. That is what is being once again expressed through this epilogue. This epilogue is actually a conclusion to not just The Tempest, but also a conclusion, a statement of conclusion, you could say, or a final declaration, you could say, which Prospero, or rather William Shakespeare, because remember, in the original version of the play, when it was staged on in the Globe Theatres, when it was staged, the role of Prospero was actually played by William Shakespeare himself. So Prospero now comes onto the stage alone. All the characters first go inside the Prospero cell, and then only Prospero comes out. He is still dressed as Prospero, he is still wearing the costume of Prospero, but it is actually William Shakespeare who speaks to his audience through this epilogue. Let's see, it's a very meaningful epilogue. Let's try and understand what he says here. Epilogue spoken by Prospero. This is the ending of the play. We are in page 120 of The Tempest, Act 5, Scene 1. Epilogue spoken by Prospero. Now my charms are all overthrown. Now I have cast away, discarded, thrown away all my charms or my spells. And what strength I have's mine own. What charm is he talking about? The charm or the spell by means of which William Shakespeare could hold his audience spellbound, to draw their interest as he performed on the stage, and as he brought to them new plays every fortnight or maybe every month. And by means of these, he could hold them and draw them and attract them. So he says, captivate them. So he says that all those charms are now to be overthrown. It's not just Prospero discarding his magical powers, it is also William Shakespeare who is discarding his writing skills, his playwriting skills. He says, my charms are overthrown, and whatever strength I have now is my own. Not magical, but the natural strength which any human being has. So the strength that I have in me now is my natural strength, which is most faint. Now 'tis true, I must be here confined by you or sent to Naples. Let me not, since I have my dukedom got, and pardon the deceiver, dwell in this bare island by your spell. He says, now, as a character of this play, as Prospero, I can either continue to be here in this lonely island, or I could be going to Naples with the rest of the royal party. It all depends on you, dear audience. If you let me go, then I can go. If you don't want me to go, if you want this play to continue, if you want this story to continue, then I will have no choice but to stay on. Because what the audience wants, the performer has to perform accordingly. So he says, I request you, please let me go. Now that I have got back my dukedom, and now that I have forgiven the deceiver refers to, of course, both Antonio and Alonso. So they have deceived me, they cheated me, I was thrown out of my dukedom, but now I have got back my dukedom and I have forgiven all of them. So I request you, dear audience, to let me go. And then he says, your spell is what can hold me back. So release me from your obligations, but release me from my bands with the help of your good hands. So just see here, the explanation is given. He is saying, but release me from all my obligations and responsibilities. The epilogue is always addressed to the audience in a theatre. With the help of your good hands, please release me. And then he says, with the help of your good hands, gentle breath of yours my sails must fill, or else my project fails. So he says that my project will fail unless you fill my sails with gentle breath. So he says, set me free from my captivity by your parting applause. Please clap. Let your good wishes give wind to my sails, else all my desire to please you will fail. So if you don't generate your good wishes, I will fail in my effort to please you. My job was to entertain you. I am an entertainer. That's what I was doing for all this time. Now please clap. Please give me a big hand. With your applause, release me, let me go. And then he says, now I want spirits to enforce, art to enchant, and my ending is despair unless I be relieved by prayer. Now I want means now I am lacking. Now I don't have. Now I lack the spirits to carry out my commands by the power of magic. I don't have the spirits anymore. I have released them. Ariel has been set free. After giving him his last assignment, I have set him free. I don't have the power of magic anymore with me. I don't have the power of the spirits anymore with me. My job was to please you, which I have done for so long. Now please clap and please set me free. I don't have the art to enchant. I don't have my magical art anymore, which can enchant you. And my ending is despair unless I be relieved by prayer. And what he means to say is that my days will be full of despair unless I am relieved by your prayers. Because he says mercy itself and frees all faults. What pierces so that it assaults, mercy itself and frees all faults. Because prayers alone can have the power to penetrate, to reach the divine mercy, and to obtain pardon for all my faults. So prayers alone can penetrate the heart of God, and then God shows his mercy, divine mercy, and by means of such divine mercy, all faults are forgiven. As you from crimes would pardoned be, let your indulgence set me free. So as you wish to be pardoned for your sins, let your kindness and favor set me free from all sins. So deliver me from all my sins. So this is my request to all of you. Just as you pray to be pardoned from all your crimes, all your sins, in the same manner, please show your kindness so that I am also set free. I beg all of you, dear audience, to pray for me and to say goodbye to me with a happy heart so that I can go back from where I have come. I can go back there and I can live happily ever after. So with this message at the end, Prospero, the character of Prospero, says goodbye to his audience, and we come to the end of The Tempest Act 5, Scene 1. So please subscribe and please like and please give your comment. With that, we come to the end of The Tempest, a 5-act play written by William Shakespeare and prescribed for the ISC English literature. Thank you very much.